Hey, Judy.
Hi.
She actually called, Andrew. You weren't here last week. She actually called last week. Welcome back to KLEAN Radio. She's been struggling with marijuana addiction for many years, right?
Yeah, almost 20. It kind of hit me last week when I had my 37th birthday, and I think, well, I started smoking for the first time when I was 18, so it has been close to 20 years.
And she said she was going to try this week not to do it until the next show.
So how did that go, Judy?
Well, Judah and Jen told me that, well, they had a challenge for me to go 7 days without it, and then I said, well, what if I can't? You know, I'm going to feel very embarrassed calling back. And they said, no, we are the least judgmental people.
And you know, by the way, just so you know, everybody that says that is always the most judgmental. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So, Judy, how did it go?
I went, actually, I even found, like, MA online and entered a sober birthday of July 29th. And I was able to not smoke for 4 days.
Well,
that's great.
That's good. What happened in the fourth day?
What happened on the fourth day was I just had the urge. I ended up having an extreme migraine.
Right.
And I have no health insurance, and I took, like, everything that I had in my house to get rid of it. Ultram, Deer, and just smoked the last little bit of marijuana that I had, which that was mistake number one in itself. I should have flushed it down the toilet and gotten rid of it.
You know, I mean, the truth of the matter is that, Judy, the truth of the matter is that you're actually having that reaction because you're withdrawing from marijuana. It's, you know, people think that marijuana isn't really a drug and doesn't, you know, people can't actually become addicted to it. We're finding out more and more that there are actually physical changes that occur and that there is some physical addiction to marijuana, and there's certainly a lot of psychological addiction. Also, if you think about it, smoking cigarettes, which is not that different from smoking marijuana, people have huge problems with withdrawal from nicotine. There's more carcinogens in marijuana than there are in tobacco. Plus, it's unfiltered, and often you don't even know what's in it because they use insecticides and other things to grow it. It's completely unregulated. So, you know, the fact that you would have a headache as you start to withdraw from marijuana is not uncommon.
Yeah, but it's like a migraine where I'm vomiting, and I've been diagnosed with migraines. I started getting them when I was 28, and I was prescribed Imitrex. They tried giving me Vicodin. That just doesn't. I don't like that. I don't like the way I feel on that.
Right.
And Imitrex was really the only thing that worked. It didn't give me side effects. Well, I have no health insurance right now because I'm an independent contractor and actually making a career change. But I took everything I could. My migraines are so severe. I mean, I have a formal medical diagnosis. But when I did that little, like, mini binge saying, like, sayonara, I'm never going to smoke again, this is stupid, it took the migraine away.
Right. But what have you done? You know, so on day 4 you smoked. So let's say it's Thursday. What's been going on since Thursday?
What's been going on?
I'm saying, did you smoke more? Did you drink a lot? Were there other ways you were trying to avoid things?
I did have drinks Friday and Saturday, and I have smoked this evening because it was just a really rough.
Did you have migraines prior to smoking marijuana at 17?
Yes, I have, but I went actually I thought last year it was 7 years, but it's actually, I've gone 10 years pretty much without, well, on and off smoking, but the consistent has been outside of 10 years, including up until now. But I have had migraines when I didn't smoke. I was formally diagnosed when I was 28. I had my first migraine for 8 days straight, and it just gets so bad that, like, I'm bedridden, essentially.
And I actually know somebody. I just so you know, I actually know somebody that's a good friend of Andrew, a good friend of my girlfriend, is that somebody that struggled a lot with migraines, and they're sober. And this was they managed to stay sober 8 months, and it was one of the hardest things. And I think one of the hardest things when you have things like migraines is people can't see your pain.
Well, also, I don't think people really a lot of people don't believe that migraines are as bad as they are. I mean, where people are actually throwing up and nauseated and in real pain. And like I said earlier, addiction is often driven by pain. So, Judy, this is something that, obviously just trying to go cold turkey off marijuana is probably triggering the migraines again. And you're going to have to find a way, I think, to gather some resources and get some medical help.
I mean, is that what, do you want to be sober is the question?
That's the thing, yes. I mean, I have a strong desire to not want to smoke pot at all.
And drinking is included in
drinking. I can have a glass of wine. I can have a couple beers and be fine. I don't have that. It's not the same kind of.
One of the problems with alcohol, though, is it's one of the major things that triggers migraines. So, it's about really getting healthy all the way around. You can't just.
I know, and I also have very bad anxiety.
Right.
I did take Xanax for many years, and I've been off of it for 3 years, but I do take an SSRI. I mean, I do have anxiety, too, so I think the marijuana helps a lot with that.
Actually, I would tend to disagree with that. Marijuana actually tends to make people more anxious.
I was actually going to ask that, right. It makes you...
Yeah, I mean, it's actually one of the main initial triggers for panic attacks in emergency rooms. People smoke marijuana, they get very paranoid, and they have panic attacks, and that's the number one type of admit that's marijuana related to ERs.
So the question is, Judy, it's okay that, do you want to be sober? Off of, let's just say for tonight, let's just say off of marijuana.
Absolutely. I know to be successful in what I want to do. I'm a law student. I do find that sometimes I tend to procrastinate a little too much.
Are you in school right now?
I do want to be sober. I do. I want to be able to say, I don't want to be able to smoke weed anymore. I've gone years without it. It's just that I've turned to it the past few years, and it's been really intense. I don't want to be like this anymore. I was thinking back tonight the amount of money that I've spent on it.
How much do you think you've spent? Let me ask you. Let's get how much money in your life?
My boyfriend and I were figuring it out tonight, just in the past year.
Okay, so how did you come up with it? This is what I love, and Judy, you're such a great call. So, and the reason I say this is because Lord knows Andrew and I and everybody in the studio totally gets what you're talking about. How much investment in the past year do you think you've invested in marijuana and alcohol and whatever other drugs you've used?
It's just marijuana.
Okay, just
and
marijuana.
Marijuana, an ounce is about. I mean, this is ridiculous. I know how much this costs.
Okay, just ballpark.
It's all right.
Yeah, just a ball.
It used to be $300 a month, I would say.
Okay, so times 10, that's $3,000.
And then alcohol on top of that. I'm no saint there either,
Right.
but I'm not. It's nothing like marijuana.
Okay, so
So how about dumping those and buying health insurance?
or getting health insurance, or maybe trying to get help for a couple weeks by going to rehab.
Or an outpatient treatment center.
Or an outpatient, right.
Or see a therapist. I mean, there's so many, I think trying to do this on your own without a medical, at least a doctor's supervision, is a little irresponsible.
And what he means by that is that you could actually harm yourself.
Yeah. Obviously, you just in the little time we've spoken, it's clear that you have underlying medical conditions, an anxiety disorder, as well as migraines, both of which are going to make it very hard for you to get sober without some sort of help.
And we don't want to make you more anxious by telling you this stuff. And Judy, I mean, here's the thing.
No, the truth of the matter is that's real hope.
Yeah.
If you've tried to get sober on your own, which is a great thing for people to do, but if you're re-triggered to use because of an underlying condition, that means you really have to address that underlying condition to be able to get sober.
Judy, let me ask you a question. And here's the thing. So you say you want to get sober, right? What if somebody, and I'm not saying me or Andrew or I, what if somebody said to you tomorrow they'll put you in a bed in rehab, and they said, don't worry about anything but getting on the plane or getting in the car and going? Would you do that?
I couldn't tomorrow because I'm in the midst of a career change.
Right.
It's interfered with so much in my life. It's not even funny. I can't even listen to my call from last week because it's like a get real reality kick in my ass check.
All right. Well, now you're going to have two calls.
My boyfriend listened to it. He said it was a great call. I can't listen to it yet.
Because it's painful. So why don't we do this again? Why don't we try?
Real. wonderful.
But why don't we try this again, Judy, okay? Why don't we say for the next 7 days, we're going to try it again. You know what? Let's not even say 7 days. Let's just say Monday. We're going to try this on Monday. And we're going to try 1 day at a time. But like Andrew said, try to go to a therapist. Try and promise, Judy, we got to run, but you promise you're going to call back next week?
I promise I call back, and I will see about going to a therapist. I know there are lots in my area that'll help.
Okay.
And Judy, why don't you put a post on Facebook or on KLEANTreatmentCenter.com, and we can engage in a discussion this week about other ways you can maybe get some help.
That is wonderful. KLEANTreatmentCenter.com.
Yes, and anything we could do to help and I mean that. I'm not just saying that. We will do whatever it takes to help you out.
All right, Judy, thank you so much for calling back again.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, great.